everyone. Welcome to the Mongols podcast, sponsored by Roughnecks. Man, this is already starting off bad, but we're just going to keep on going. I'm Josh, not Mike, and with me tonight is Kev, just the two of us. So the Hounds smashed. They smashed the Rowdies, clinched the playoff spot, and we're going to break it all down. But first, victory beverage.
You get better and better at that.
Yep. Victory Brewing, Victory Beverage, brotherly love.
Is that still from the initial sponsor partnership?
It's still from the initial partnership. We have not gone through a whole case of beer, which I guess that's good that I still have it, but
it's a gray area.
Yeah. There's like 5 left too. I have plenty.
Don't say that.
There's only 3 games left of the season.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, granted, there's playoffs, and maybe I'll need more for the playoffs. But all in all, yeah, I think it's a pretty good sign, or a pretty good stack of beer that I don't have to worry about for a while.
Nice.
Before we get into the game, any updates? Do anything fun over the week? Leave the house at least.
I did leave the house. That was a nice improvement. No, I mean, what, you just went to Asheville last weekend, and we're going this upcoming weekend. So really looking forward to it. I don't know if you got to see any of the fall foliage, but when you were down there yet. But we're kind of hoping to catch that this weekend.
Yeah, we pretty much just stuck to the city the whole time. Like, we did not leave. I know it's supposed to be a great place to go on hikes and that kind of stuff, and like did not leave the city. Went to
when we go there, we do the same thing. We just hang out. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing next weekend. It'll be fun.
Cool. Yeah. The Portland of the East? I don't know. Is that a thing that they call it?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it feels right. I think the first time that we went there because like we read an article of like, it's like the beer capital of like east of the Mississippi or something, as far as like brewery density by population or something. It's kind of ridiculous. And it made it sound really nice. So and then we went there, and it's bunch of hipster, crunchy, vegetarian beer brewery, coffee shop, greenery, hiking stuff. So it's
you have that, but then you also have this weird dynamic there where I don't know if you've noticed this or if you will notice it when you go again. A lot of like giant shiny pickup trucks cruising downtown, and just like kind of like they're like showing off their truck, because they're not like work trucks. They've never hauled anything in their lives. It just looks like trucks that are like super clean, super big, way too big to be driving around a city. And then every once in a while they'll just like rev their engine or like roll coal, where they just like have the black smoke come out of the back. Like, I'm like, what are you doing in the city? Like,
I I've never noticed that, but that might be a thing of, I don't, like, it's like, instead of showing off your Lambo, show off your sweet truck.
All right, well, let's talk about the game, because it was an awesome game. I was there. Good atmosphere. It's Sunday. Sunday games are weird because, one, they start a little bit earlier. Like, they start at 6 instead of 7, and everyone has work the next day, and you definitely get like a little bit of an atmosphere where it's kind of like not down, but definitely not as hype as a Saturday game.
It looked a little less attendance too. Okay.
Yeah, it was. It was not, a huge attendance for this game. I don't know what the official count was, but tell you what, though, as soon as the game started, and like everyone knew it was an important game, so the atmosphere picked up fast, and then obviously as the game went along, it got better and better as far as atmosphere goes. So do you want to go this by the order the events happen, or do you want to go like, what do you want to talk about first?
Let's do the order of the events that happen, and a quick kind of follow up on the atmosphere, at least. I mean, I'll talk about it throughout the podcast, but I mean, watching it from the stream, it was like the Steel Army like looked a little more thin, but not by much. But it was loud. I mean, like, especially, I mean, the key moment around the pen that Vitiello saves, like audible distortion. Like, it was a lot of noise. It was really cool. And then even small things I like that the mic picks up. I could be reading into this, but it feels like our crowd maybe the U.S. in general, but I'll say our crowd celebrates defensive plays a lot more than like what I'm used to watching a lot of other soccer. I really like that. I hope that's the case. Because there will be times where it's like, yeah, like the one, and we'll talk about it in more detail, where Tampa like almost scores off of Dos Santos's header. Um, it was cheered like it was a goal. Like, everyone was into it. And I was like, yeah, all right. Like, this is great. Like, I love to hear that. It's, I think a lot of, in a lot of those situations in other games and other fans, you kind of get like an exhale, like, like we got away with one there. But like, everyone's like, yeah. And it was so,
Yeah, like
yeah.
you'll see that for like PK saves. Like usually that's
Yeah.
when like a normal crowd will get like super excited for a defensive thing. It's like, oh, all right, they saved it. But
Yeah.
you're right. Like I do feel like I don't even know if it's like a Pittsburgh thing or is it just American sports thing. I have to pay more attention, but definitely just cheering on the plays in general, just like a good slide tackle or something like that, especially that type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I have a narrow view when it comes to like broader American sports, but like I grew up on watching the Steelers religiously. I grew up, with that kind of stuff, and they're, what, steel curtain, like, big defense. That was always like Pittsburgh Steelers thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
and it seems like it's a Pittsburgh thing. I mean, we're kind of blue collar, hardworking people, and so defensive plays seem right up our alley.
So let's go to the what was it 25th minute, I think. Possible Rowdy's goal. It hits the top bar and then goes down and is not ruled a goal. Uh, I couldn't see it worth crap from the stands because it's all the way at the other end of the stadium. So I had no clue what was going on. At the time, I just thought, oh, cool. It was not even close. Like, it probably was in front of video or something like that. But watching the replay when I got home, it was a lot closer than I thought. Could not tell at all, though.
No.
I will say one thing, though. The line judge was like, the linesman, he was right there, like on the sideline, even with the line. Like, I'm pretty positive it would have gone in. He would have been able to see it because it didn't look like there was anyone blocking his view.
Yeah, no, I agree. The lines judge was like stone cold, like just like, all right, yep, and a no call. Yeah, the camera angles. I mean, if they showed any more, which I'm sure they did during the live stream, when I was watching it, it didn't reveal a clear cut answer to it. And I mean, and I have I have a general criticism among these announcers. Again, I feel like I've criticized them previously for other things throughout this game, but this one, I was kind of annoyed at this one too. Like the first replay they see, they're like, "Oh, it was a goal," and I was like, "What? Like, how did you see that? Like, they didn't even slow it down, and it was slightly obstructed." And I was like, and then they kept replaying it. They're like, "Yeah, it's a little harder to see," and like,
Like,
okay. But yeah, I couldn't tell. And I think it's one of those things. I mean, with those camera angles, with the speed at which the game moves, and at this level, we don't have goal line technology or anything like that. Some are going to bounce your way, some aren't, and we'll take the I don't want to call it a non-call, but we'll take the out
yeah,
that kind of outcome.
it's one of those things where until we like even just broadcast wise, like not even talking about VAR here, like just like having camera angles, having more cameras on the field to actually
Yeah,
see stuff, um, just for our viewing pleasure isn't
yeah.
really up to snuff compared to other leagues. So it would be nice if we could like maybe get some cameras that are like along the touch line, that kind of stuff, like where we can actually kind of see the angles a little bit better.
I wonder how
We're a
many
lot better
camera.
though. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I wonder how many cameras they actually like allocate per game, and if it like varies by stadium and stadium, and or if it varies game by game, because it feels like we might have two or three
We
cameras
have,
on the stream.
yeah, we have like three. Well, I think there's actually technically four because there's one handheld camera that they'll
Hmm.
cut to every once in a while, but maybe not on the stream. Now I'm thinking about it. That might just be for the jumbotron, but there's
But it,
definitely three.
yeah, and when it feels like the stadium allows, I mean, it seems like the main stand, like the non-Steel Army stand, you could just kind of park a camera on either upper corner of each, and pretty much, I'm guessing it lines up pretty nicely with
That's
the
what they
with the
do.
goal lines. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, but I mean, like we didn't like if let's say those cameras were there. I mean, they weren't filming. Otherwise, we would have like seen that angle, right? I would assume I could be wrong, but we didn't see that angle. But
Yeah, they're all more in the middle though. It's like
yeah,
there's the press box in the middle of the grandstand, and like there's a camera on either side of it usually. But
right,
regardless, you couldn't see it, couldn't tell from the stream.
yeah.
I would think that the rest would get that one right. If I was on the other side of this, if I was, a Rowdies fan seeing this, or if it would have been on our side of the pitch, I would have been angry. But I don't know. It's one of those things where you can't really tell. Like, I don't know. You want it to be
When
true.
yeah, and I would say I don't know. For me, the run of play up until that point too. Um, I mean, they weren't piling on the chances in the first half. I mean, they had a few. That was
Mhm.
obviously the biggest one in the first half. But I would say the story mostly for the first half was I thought we controlled the game pretty well. I mean, I think it started off a bit more back and forth. Tampa had some energy, and I think around the 30th minute, I mean, we felt comfortable just holding on to the ball, and there's a passage of play where we felt very comfortable just kind of cycling it from one side from our back line to the other, kind of back and forth, and we really started to kind of build up this kind of pressure cooker environment, and I think over the course of the 90, that might have had an effect. I mean, the likes of Forrest Lasso, all these accolades of how good he's supposed to be. I mean, he didn't have a good game against us. He had a pretty poor game, but yeah. So I thought we played pretty. I thought the pace of the game in the first half. I mean, this chance that kind of goes off the goal line that we've been discussing. Really, they're only big. They're kind of big chance that comes off the set play, and Forrest Lasso wins the header. Actually, as I kind of backtrack a little bit on the Forrest Lasso thing, but so yeah, it felt like they were an away team coming to counter. It didn't feel like they were a team that won our last 13 or whatever and haven't lost since July. I mean, we really kind of I thought controlled the game pretty well in the first half.
And like just going to the lineup for this game, like it felt we were definitely going for the win on this
Yeah.
one. Like, what do we have? Like, yeah, like a Cicerone, Dixon, and Williamson up top, and it's like, wait, what? Like, that's a lot more pressure than what we usually have.
I mean, we rolled that out against Miami, and from memory, I think we talked about it last week. I think that was the first time where that happened, and then we do it again. Which I mean, I'm really happy to see. I mean, we talked last week about how I think we were all kind of on the same page where like at this stage and where we're at, draws don't really concern us. We need to be, going for the win. And the beginning of that Miami game, where it was a bit more of a tennis match and we just kind of went for it, felt like it maybe tipped the scales in our favor a little more, and that could have been something interesting to play with, albeit at a weird part of the season when we're supposed to be kind of hitting our stride going into the playoffs. But I thought it played out really well in this game. I mean, I think he maybe does a little bit of a kind of middle point halfway house thing where it's not a strict back four with two center backs and two fullbacks, right? I mean, Kilwine, he plays that kind of outside center back in a three sometimes, so he feels pretty comfortable doing that. And if we need to get into certain scenarios where Wharton or whoever kind of slides out to a kind of a wide wing back role and we're kind of under pressure, then we can. But I thought it worked out really well. I thought Veet played really well. I mean, I know I'm skipping around here, and I
No,
know
you're fine.
we're supposed to go like kind of chronologically, and we will. But I thought Veet had a really good game. We struggled against Miami. He struggled against Miami big time, and to bounce back the way he did. I mean, I think he created some chances in the first half where I think I remember one where he drives into the box and cuts it back, and I think Williamson kind of swings his foot at it and I forget how the play ends, but he was pinging balls left and right. He was controlling the ball, controlling the play well. So yeah, I thought he bounced back pretty well and was stable defensively against a DeSantos who can be kind of a handful.
Yeah, so let's move to the first goal. Williamson getting it, and it was a weird it was right in front of the Steel Army, and when he got the cross, he I couldn't tell if it was on purpose. The way he did it, like the way he turns the ball, like he kind of like doesn't let it hit the ground and kind of just bounced off his shin. It looked like a little bit, if I remember right, and turned and then just ripped it in.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, it was great.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
I,
I
yeah,
I really like Williamson. I think he's growing into his character. I mean, I don't know where you were or where you stand in the Steel Army, but the fact that he just like immediately goes to Steel Army and like goes
yep.
for the hugs and everything, and he's for a loanee who's a young guy who hasn't gotten a lot of playing time this year, I like his moxie when it comes to this stuff. So no, and I hope keeps getting the start. I think when given the minutes, he and this wasn't the only goal, right? I mean, or it wasn't the only goal. It wasn't his only chance. I mean, he could have had at least one other one I can think of. But I mean, yeah, I think Kilwine swings in the cross. To be honest, not the best cross, and the Tampa defender probably should clear it. But I was thinking about this during the game. I mean, this wasn't one of those scenarios where we get lucky against a team that's red hot, top of the table. They're piling on pressure. We're hanging on for dear life. And then just a weird fluke mix up on their back and we end up getting a goal. It felt a lot more like, we were piling on the pressure from the majority of the first half. Those defenders had a lot of chances that they had to defend against. They had a lot of runs they had to cover. This wasn't an easy first half for the Tampa Bay defense. So it wasn't like it was like, we got lucky. I mean, we did in a way. Look, I mean, it just goes right through his legs when it's an easy clearance for the Tampa Bay defender. But I think on some level it was deserved. Where I think we played well enough and we created enough chances in that first half where it wasn't out of nowhere. And yeah, Williamson. I mean, still have to stick those in. And you're right. It was awkward the way it bounced. Couldn't take it really first time. And you don't have a lot of time in the box, and so for him to be able to kind of control it and have the composure to slide it away, yeah, it was a good goal.
Yeah, so like rewatching the play again and again, so it does bounce off the ground first, so it's not like it's just weird. Yeah, it just has a lot of weird bounce to it, and
Yeah,
I thought he was offside. Like when I first was, because I was like right in front of him, and just because he was so open, like it
yeah.
hit the defender first, and then goes to him, and I'm like, oh, he has to be off. Like for some reason, I was just seeing in my head, like because he was by himself.
But that's probably it, right?
Yeah, it hit
Like
the
if
defender.
it is the defender, right? Yeah, I didn't even think about that. But yeah,
But yeah, I was just like, oh, okay, probably offside. And then I was like, wait, no, nope, that's a
yeah.
goal. Okay, cool, sweet, yeah. Oh crap, I had to let off smoke, so I had to run over and let off the smoke.
Does that ever, a quick digression, does that ever take the edge off some of your excitement after we score a goal if you're the smoke guy?
Not really, because you get a pop of smoke. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's
Like
true.
at that point, like you're literally like pulling a linchpin off of a
Yeah.
smoke grenade, and you're just like, yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
So yeah, it does nothing but help, in my opinion.
Nice.
And then you stand there and like try to dodge the smoke from getting into your mouth, and also trying to like not let it blow onto the field a little bit, because I always feel bad, especially when it's on our side of the the field, like when we're defending on our side. It's like I don't want Vidiello to have to breathe smoke.
Yeah.
Like that's my biggest fear, is like smoke just goes right into the goal area. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, now if like there's a corner, he's screwed. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
and
I
we
can
need
see
some like
that.
air going up against us, so it always goes into the stands and not onto
Yeah,
the
come
field.
on, Tuffy. We can do that. Just some
Just some
industrial
fans.
fans. Yeah.
All right. So that was in the 42nd minute, and then the PK in the next half. Well, the first PK in the second
Yeah, I was
half.
gonna say. I was like, wait, which one? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So Dos Santos. Dos Santos gets fouled in the box apparently, and ends up on the ground, and they get a PK. Stop me if you heard this one before. Was it as soft as, like, it looked soft? Watching the replays, I still think it's soft.
Well, I think it's soft because of how Dos Santos plays the ball. I think if Dos Santos like moves the ball in a more controlled way, maybe even off to the right, because a lot of the pressure from the Hounds defense was coming from his left, and so he had a bit of space off to his right. So I think if he had the wherewithal and the control and like the kind of technical ability to kind of turn it there and kind of sidestep VTL in that way, and he gets taken out, cool, foul all day. But the fact that, yeah, I mean, pressure's coming from his left. The way he has to move the ball over Vitiello in order to draw the foul means, yeah, he's never getting to it. So if he legitimately tries to make a play to go around Vitiello or even shoot or whatever, I think 9 times out of 10, Vitiello makes the right move, comes out, smothers the ball, takes the ball, and it's all fine. So for me, it's a gray area because Vitiello doesn't get the ball and he takes him out. I mean, so like by the book, yeah, I get it. And like, but when you kind of try to analyze it in context, he's never getting it. I mean, he's never getting the ball. So, but at the same time, it's weird, right? Because then you also hear all these arguments of like, well, if it's a foul outside the box, then it's a foul inside the box. It's like, yeah, but like in that context, I don't know. Like he could be passing the ball upfield, but it's a gray area. I would say if it was one of us, if it was one of our players, I'd be very upset if it wasn't called. But yeah, he's never getting the ball, and he knows what he's doing.
All right, Mike has snuck into the chat, and he is going off on how much it was soft and how he went in thinking PK only. Uh, he had no shot at scoring.
Yeah,
Editorial there. Yeah, it's. And I agree with him completely. It's definitely a situation where he went in looking for the PK. He definitely that's why we liked him when he played for us, because he was good at drawing the foul and he drew the foul. And I have no qualms with the fact that we changed his chant at this moment. So we used to have a chant for him when he played for us, like "Oh, Steven Dos Santos." We changed it to "Oh, Diving Dos Santos." And he looked at us and he looked kind of upset at us. And good.
That's great.
Yeah, we were just chanting that while they're setting up for the PK.
Yeah, I mean, he went in looking for the penalty. On some level, I wish. I'm walking a tightrope here, but maybe less so in those kind of high. I don't know what the word is. Not not high risk, but in those scenarios where like a PK is on the line and a goal is on the line, high stakes scenario, maybe less so. But like when you're outside the box and you feel someone kind of tugging on you, there were multiple points in this game where I'm just like, just go down, take the foul. It's a foul, take the foul, and let's move on. And our players never do it. And so sometimes I wish we would do that more.
Yeah, I mean, it's professional, I guess you would call it, like just knowing the rules of the game and how to get them played in your favor, and setting yourself up for a position where they can't help but to foul you. Is kind of where it goes.
I still want to do a podcast with us all and convince you all. I have a mission that's saying like wrongfully claiming the throw-in's yours is the same thing as diving philosophically. And so I want to convince you guys of that. I mean, by saying when it's not your throw-in and you just throw your hand up like, oh, it's our throw-in, that's the same thing as diving technically. And I want to convince you guys of it, even though it feels very different.
Yeah, but the difference is if you do trick the ref, you get a throw-in. If you don't trick the ref, nothing happens. Yeah. Whereas diving, if you do trick the ref, it's possibly a guy will get a yellow card and it could completely change the rest of the game. So that's degrees of difference here.
I feel like I'm just baiting Mike in the chat, so this is what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, you got him. He's already saying no, Kev. Mike, aren't you supposed to be watching your kid's soccer game or something like that right now? It's not what I'm hosting right now. Anyway. Let's go to the actual PK itself.
Yeah.
And the awesome, fantastic, beautiful save Vitiello got. I'm not saying it was a great PK. It wasn't a great PK. It was a crap PK. But you know what? He still saved it, and that's what matters.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was thinking that too. The commentators were like, "Oh, like wonderful save by Vitiello, blah blah blah." And I like Vitiello. He's a very nice guy. He's a great keeper. I love that he's our keeper, but like it was a bad PK. he guessed right, and he got the save. Now I'm just trying to like anger people, but I was like, look, if you really wanted to take it a step further, he could have like pushed it out further and like not allowed a rebound and everything. But but no, it was a good save. He needed to save it. It was a huge moment.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was spectacular. I would have I almost popped smoke for that save.
Yeah. It felt relevant. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, it
yeah.
was a huge swing in the game because, yeah, I mean, at the beginning of the second half, Tampa came out and looked different. I mean, they changed a few things up, right? But I think they made a sub at halftime. I know they at least kind of changed up their defensive structure.
Yeah, they had one sub at halftime.
Yeah,
Harris came in for Steinberger. Yeah, I mean they did change it up. I couldn't really, again, from the Steel Army section, you can't really tell that much tactics wise as
yeah,
far as the change up, especially if you're in the front row. But it definitely felt like they were going after it, and yeah, that PK at that moment they had sub 4 people in different, there was 4 different subs before the
jeez,
PK happened. So big changes. Like they had pretty much used all their subs, and the atmosphere was just the energy was so high from that
yeah.
moment on. Like as soon as he saved that PK, it was just on. It was like, yep, this okay.
It
We
it came through. Yeah,
yeah. So um
yeah. I mean, and I guess quickly following up on that too. Um, I mean, yes. Okay, so Tampa goes for it. They bring on the pressure, and sure, Penn whatever makes the save, and yeah, from there it felt like it turned on its head, and like the broader context of this too. I mean, I've already mentioned just how much of a run Tampa was on. I mean, but the fact, I mean, we haven't talked about it yet, and we were probably going to talk about it by the time we were done kind of recapping the game. But in a game where, I mean, last week when we were talking on the podcast, this was like, we got to win. The Miami is huge. And then all of a sudden, this great game in Tampa happens. We beat Tampa, and then Miami lose to Loudon. Like last week, I was ready to be like, yeah, we'll make the playoffs, but what's the point? We're not playing well. This is crap. We're not going to get a home playoff game. I was very down.
yeah.
It's entirely changed. Like it's entirely changed. This Miami game now it's still huge, but man, does it look different after we get a win and they lose. So I mean, it's all to play for, and I think a lot of it stems from that penalty save. I mean, if they go 1-1, I don't know what happens. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's still a good game. It kind of goes back and forth. Both teams get changes, and we would see it happens. But that penalty save was huge.
And I think, okay, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if the players are checking the scores of the games before their
Mm,
game starts. I kind of think they shouldn't be, but human,
yeah,
you want to know. The fact that we knew Loudon had beat Miami going into this game, I feel like that gives you, at least me watching the games, like, all right, the fate is a little bit more in our own hands here. It means more to me,
yeah.
we can not only clinch, obviously, but also just make sure that we are in second place going into our game against Miami. So it was a huge, huge deal, and yeah, I love the fact that Miami lost. Anyway, and I stand corrected. I was thinking they had made all these subs before the miss PK. They actually made all the subs right after the miss PK,
Mm.
uh, because then we had our PK, and that was it soft as well.
If it was, I thought it was a lot less soft than Dos
Yeah,
Santos's one. Because at least in this scenario, Dixon had the control to kind of still keep it on a leash, right? He kept the ball on the leash. Like there was a scenario where he was getting to that ball. Now, I mean, he's not through on net 1-on-1 with the keeper, but he's in the box, and I thought it was great. I mean, look, I think there are certain opinions around players who are perceived as high quality defenders, where given the support structure around them, they can look incredible. Um, but and I'm kind of extrapolating this out, not to just Forrest Lasso, but to a lot of different defenders, not only in the USL but all over the world. But as soon as you get someone like Dixon just running at you, and you're kind of isolated 1-on-1. I mean, he wasn't isolated; there were players around him, but he was kind of in this small way. Lasso was isolated 1-on-1 with Dixon. all of a sudden your defensive duties get a lot more difficult. And Dixon did a hell of a job to draw the pen. He gets in close, cuts the ball right when he needs to. And yeah, Forrest last. I mean, I thought clumsily. I mean, like that was just bad defending from someone who's supposed to be. I'm really tearing into Forrest Lasso here, but someone
As you
who's
should be. Yeah, I'll go into him as well here in a second, but you go ahead.
yeah. I mean, as someone who's supposed to be this great center back, that was really bad defending, and it was clumsy. And he sticks out a leg, and it impedes Dixon, and it's rightfully a penalty. It just it felt different on the face of it because he wasn't one-on-one with the keeper. But if the pen remains a pen in Dixon's scenario, yeah, I mean it was a great play.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest difference between the two uh, fouls is Dixon was dribbling the ball into the box and not like trying to get to the ball. And like you said, he had control and he had purpose. And this is why I'm so baffled by the foul is because he's dribbling into the box from pretty far out. Like if you're gonna try to close him down, why would you wait until he was in the box to
Yeah,
then like put your foot out? It's like you had plenty of opportunity to just like go at him and like maybe foul him, but at least it's outside the box. It's not going to be a PK. And then Lasso, the part that really got me was the freaking him rolling on the ground right after committing the foul,
yeah,
trying to get sympathy, just trying to be like, "Ow, I'm hurt. He hit me." It's like,
yeah.
and then it was so beautiful. Dixon, after he got the call, flexing, just flexing, like Lasso's on the ground, rolling around, crying, and Dixon just gets up and just sees that he got the PK and just flexes and like right over top of Lasso, and it was it's so beautiful. I maybe that should be a shirt. Okay, one second. Yeah, write that
That
down.
should be. I like that. Dixon's incredible. I mean, he's having incredible. Well, I mean, his numbers. I think before the game they were talking about Dixon's numbers and how close he is to like a double double this season. He's either on like 8 goals, 9 assists, or 9 goals, 8 assists, or something like that. Um, and I don't think they count assists for penalties. Like I don't if you draw the pen, I don't think you get
No,
the
no,
assist.
they don't. No.
But it's unfortunate. It should, as far in my book. I mean, you created the best chance that you could possibly create, right? Like just a stationary 18 yards out shot on the keeper. And that's what an assist is. You're creating chances for your goal scorer. I really want to see him and Cicerone kind of do the double double this season. I think both of them are incredible players, and it speaks to their kind of range of their abilities. They're not just pure goal scorers. I'm probably doing Nico Brett a bit of a disservice here, not remembering Nico's assists, but from memory, Nico was much more of a just pure goal scorer, given the ball, and he's, in a simplistic way, very good at shooting. and Cicerone and Dixon, I mean, they can kind of do it all, and in an equal way of how, kind of heartbroken is an over exaggeration, but heartbroken when Ryan James and Vanke Azil left. If Dixon and Cicerone leave, right now, I feel like that's kind of the pillars of our team as far as creativity and ability. Both of them have had an incredible season and played really well in this game.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a situation where like every year I think I see this team and I think I can imagine how different this team would be without these key players.
Yeah.
And we get new key players. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I'm
Yeah.
trying not to get like too like, oh, we're gonna be screwed if we don't have these guys back. It's like, yeah. They are doing a great job though, and they're
Yeah.
so fun to watch. Cicerone, like, okay, well, let's talk about the PK itself.
Yeah.
Also a weak PK.
Yeah. I think it was. I think you
It
got yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't get a lot on it, and it does. I don't like stutter steps. I don't like just run up and kick the ball. Like don't do
I
goofy
agree.
stuff. And he does this weird like kind of like trailing his leg and like kind of like almost like a gallop up to the ball
Yeah.
and then trails a little bit and then kicks it and ends up not being that much in the corner. It's pretty much like a third from the corner and the keeper just dived the wrong way
Yeah.
and so it goes in.
He there could be a scenario where he's here doing the podcast with us and saying like, no, like you just weren't up in that scenario. Like the reason why it wasn't a great pen is because like I did the whole stutter step and just waited until the last minute until the keeper moved, and then I just knew I can just slide it into that corner. I know some players can do that and have the ability to just wait until like the last millisecond and then just make that decision and just kind of roll it into the side. It didn't look like that was the case with this, and I agree. It looked like a lucky pen as far as just kind of rolling it into the right side.
And to be fair, he did like the whole stuttering, and it's not even really a stutter step. It was just like a weird,
It's a foot drag. Yeah, it is
yeah, like
weird.
a
Yeah.
weird thing that he just did. And the keeper actually, Evan, I think is his first name. I don't know, kept on chanting Evan when he was over on our side. He like fell forward. Like I'm pretty sure if it wouldn't have gone in, it could have been called that he was off his line when the ball got kicked, because he like it looked like he was just leaning too much forward, and he ended up just like having to catch himself
Right.
as he was leaning forward. So, I mean, very well, like you said, that could be the situation, but still, it doesn't make for a pretty PK. It looks kind of sloppy, and it went in though, so that's all that matters. It's a goal.
I guess we're just old school, Josh. We like the guys who just come up and just bury it in the corner. Nothing flashy. No chips down the middle. No Paul Pogba 20-year run ups. Yeah.
I just want confidence. I want it to look very confident. I don't care if you do chip it up. Like I don't care. Just know what you're gonna do and do it. And it sometimes feels like when they do a stutter step or a weird run up, it feels kind of like, I don't know. I don't have confidence in my kick being good enough. Okay, cool. Now I can kick it, and you're already moved. But it worked, and we got a goal.
One of my favorite players of all time, Andrea Pirlo. He's this Italian guy who now like owns a vineyard in Italy, and he's this long, luscious Italian hair. I'm thinking of a penalty he took once. Yeah, he does a little chip, and it's like, he looked cool and graceful and confident when he did it. Like, so I know what you mean. I just want an excuse to talk about Pirlo.
That's fair. That's fair. And then speaking of the keeper, Lura? I don't know how you say his name. Laura, I think. So obviously, still Army. We're going to, badger the keeper, try to get the keepers, just try to make him not as much into the game or paying attention to the game.
Yeah.
This guy was playing back and forth with us way too much.
Really?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like he would like, keeper, give us a wave. He waves at us, like, and like stuff like that. I'm like, you should not be paying attention to our chants. Like, this is not a good idea. Even like the silly stuff where it's like, we're screaming like left, right after they're walking away from us at halftime, and he's like stutter stepping as we're doing our chant. Like, at least that is after the clock is out. You know what I mean? Like it's halftime, so it's not like it's in the middle of the game. But Deflate Gate. Did you see the whole at the very beginning of the game?
I remember the ball was not like,
So we started doing like Brady chants to him because of Deflate Gate, and he's just like, oh yeah, it's fun. Like, stop paying attention to us, dude. Like, your head should be in the game, not like trading barbs with us. Like, this is
that probably doesn't speak well to his concentration.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it's not a good look. Like, you should be ignoring us at all times if possible. But
don't feed the wolves. Don't.
Yeah, and like even if it's just fun stuff, like we're gonna like keep on doing it just because that at that point it's like, okay, even if you're not like angry at us, you're still paying attention to us. Like it's not really we have to get you angry. We just have to get you disengaged with the game a little bit.
So, I love that. I love that story.
Mind games you play.
It's awesome.
Well, it's Steve. It said that Neil Collins on TV was caught swearing during that flat ball incident. I did not know that.
They were pretty apologetic. They're like, really sorry if
that's fantastic.
It was that. I mean, I've already talked about the announcers once before. There's another one, and the last thing they went on. I'm not joking. They went on talking about like chewing gum for like 3 minutes straight. Like,
was the game that boring?
No, it was. It made no sense to me. They're talking about like, oh, what chewing gum, what kind of guy, like what I think they were trying to guess what chewing gum Neil Collins chews. I was like, are you kidding? Like, there's a game happening. And like just kept talking for 2 minutes, and like at the end of it, like, if I'm being honest, I'm not really a chewing gum guy. It's like, why are you?
Scandal.
I
Scandal.
know. Yeah. I just really not.
Is there
I just
anything
want
else
to.
about this game you want to cover before moving on to what we have coming up next week?
Um, I mean, I thought maybe the last thing would be in a season where we haven't necessarily shown up in the big moments, in a season where we haven't been able to close out games very well. I thought we did a pretty good job at the end of this game. I mean, being 2-0 up and playing pretty well throughout the entire game with a good atmosphere helps. But I mean, it gets to the 80th minute, we're 2-0 up, and Tampa was creating some chances. And that's not an easy thing to do with the quality that Tampa has, and it felt like we were comfortable. I don't know how you kind of saw it, but in the last 10 minutes, I didn't feel like we gave up a ton of chances. I felt like we still kind of kept pushing. We didn't make the mistake that we did against Miami. And that kind of gave me some confidence of not just, we were better defensively. I mean that's another notch in our belt, right? I mean, we haven't. I can't remember the last time we had a shutout. I mean, we probably just had one like 3 games ago, and I just forgot. But like, we played well defensively against an incredibly good team. Sure, we gave up chances, but you're going to do that against a team like Tampa. I thought we closed out the game a lot better than we have previously.
Do you want to know when our last shutout was, even though we didn't score either?
I absolutely do.
It was a 0-0 game against the Rowdies.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, because, fun fact, the Rowdies have never won at Highmark Stadium, ever. And they've gotten a couple draws, and that was one of the draws they got. It was a 0-0 draw. That was back in August.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's
Take that, Neil Collins.
Still true. The Rowdies have still yet to win at Highmark Stadium.
Sweet.
And I think that goes all the way back to like, I want to say 20. When they joined the league, I think it's like 2015 or something like that is when they joined. It's like 10 games. I don't know. 10 games at Highmark Stadium. And they have not won one yet, including the fantastic Open Cup game that we beat them.
That was the remember that
same year as Miracle on the Mon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we were just talking about that on Twitter the other day. But anyway, going back. Let's talk about the standings we have going on right now. I believe we have a graphic to pull up here to help out. Oop. Is it there? It's there. Okay, good. Yeah. All right. So we are now in second place, which was not the case for a while there. We were all the way down, I think, to fourth place.
Coming into this game, we're in fourth.
Yeah. So this win was huge. Gives us 51 points. Charlotte is right below us at 49. They do have a game in hand, so they could leap us if they were to win out. Miami is at 48 points, and they also have a game in hand. And then after that, we have Charleston with 34 points, but they have 2 games in hand. But still, that's feel pretty safe against Charleston. Interestingly enough, this week was huge because, one, it clinched us the playoffs. But also now Hartford, New York, and Loudoun have all been eliminated from the playoffs. So it's still up for grabs who's going to be, second, third, or fourth. But it's getting pretty close, and there's only 3 games left for us, at least.
Yeah. No, I was trying to look at the schedules of everything. I mean, yeah, it is extremely tight around that second spot. But yeah, I mean, the Miami game's huge. I mean, that's just it's huge. But kind of taking that out and just acknowledging that. I mean, Miami doesn't have the greatest run-in out of the 3 teams, including us, in contention. They got to play us. I think they have to play Tampa again. Oh, and I think they have. Well, no, I think they're split. I think 2 games home, 2 games away, but I think their away games are kind of rough. I think their home game is like against Red Bulls or something. Um, so I mean that Miami's loss against Loudon was huge, and their red card against Loudon could prove to be huge. And yeah, I mean, what? And I think Charlotte has like Austin away in the last game of the season, which could prove to be difficult.
Yeah, I'm not sure
So
about Austin, so I have no clue what to expect from that.
I'm thinking purely just like based off of travel, and if it's
True.
coming down to like you need to win on the last day, playing against a team you haven't played all season and going away. Well, maybe they might have, right, based off of the rules and the scheduling. I thought you would play like
No, the West Coast
okay.
teams, they don't have to play twice. So
Okay. So yeah, I mean, it's last week it felt more predetermined than it does now. The results this last week blown it all up, and now it feels like it's right back on edge again, and it's all to play for. And three games in a row that have been huge for us, and this is another huge game. I mean, what the not the stereotype, but the overplayed phrase or whatever. Every game's a cup game from here on out, and cup final, and yeah, they're going to be huge. So let's see what happens.
yeah, and with Miami, keep in mind. Okay, so one, we're going in, and they have what is it? Paco Craig has a red card in the Loudon game, so he's going to be missing that game. But also they play us on Saturday, and they play the Rowdies on Wednesday.
When I think he misses the Rowdies game too.
Is it? I don't
Well,
know.
I think it depends on the red. I think it's a straight red, you miss two. If it's
Oh,
two
okay.
yellows, you just miss the next game. And I think the commentators were talking
It,
about it in a way that it might have been a straight red because
it
I
was
think
a
they
straight
hit.
red, yeah.
Okay, yeah, they hinted at the fact that he was going to be missing the Tampa game.
So and that's short rest. So and they're going. It's not a huge travel for Miami to Tampa Bay, but still,
Right.
they're not at home.
Still away, yeah.
Yeah, it's still an away match, so you have that playing on a different field at least. And yeah, and it's going to be a big game. It's not like the Rowdies aren't going to show up against their in-state rivals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a huge game for both teams,
Yeah.
even with Tampa clinching the first place spot in our division. They want the points as well, though, because the second round depends on your points versus whoever you're up against. So Tampa still has a lot to play for. So that game's going to be tough, and it's going to be a midweek game after playing us. So yes, I think we could beat Miami. I do. After this game, yeah, we can beat anyone. Which we've
I
said
thought we
that in the
showed.
past.
I thought we showed enough of it in the game. In the game a few weeks, like what, a week and a half ago or whatever, against Miami. I thought we played them well. No, I mean this upcoming game against Miami. Let's say if we get a result and win. I mean, Miami's in, I don't want to say deep trouble, because I mean they're in all likelihood will make the playoffs just fine, but I think they're in serious trouble of finishing fourth. Because if they lose against us and then they're looking at like a must-win scenario against Tampa, that's you don't want to put yourself in that scenario. And yeah, I mean Charlotte, they've been on a bit of a run lately and seemingly are playing well. So and I think their schedule looks pretty. I think barring, I already pointed out the Austin game, but I think it probably looks the most favorable out of the three.
Yeah. And then speaking of schedules, let's look at our schedule. So we have, nothing but Saturday games left. So no midweek
Nice,
games. We only have 3 games left, and Miami is our only away game. So we
nice.
have a home game on the 23rd against the Battery, and then a home game on the 30th against Hartford. So all in all, that's not a bad place to be. I mean, Hartford, we were talking early in the season like, oh, they're a great team, they're a good team. They're eliminated from the playoffs already. Granted, the points are so close to each other near
Yeah.
the middle of the table, and even closer, sixth, fifth, and fourth. They're not like huge swings. But yeah, so Harvard being eliminated, I feel like, does that change anything or no?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, Loudon beat Miami. I mean, it's
Yeah, yeah.
Loudon weirdly are becoming one of my favorite like second teams because I feel like the fact that like they had the audacity to like beat us like when they didn't beat anyone, and then they just have the audacity to just beat Miami out of nowhere when they haven't like beaten anyone. It's just, I think, hilarious to me. Um, but I lost my train of thought on where I was going with this, but
It doesn't matter that Hartford has been eliminated,
oh,
and
right.
they're going to be one of our last game.
I think you can argue it either way. Yeah, and it depends on the team and it depends on the dressing room. Sometimes that means they're just playing a lot looser and free, and that ends up putting a very good quality team out in the field that has nothing to lose. So I think it can be argued either way, and unless you know the team that we're playing, I can't really make a judgment call on that. But I mean, I'd rather play them than Charleston or something who still had a shot at something to play for. Um, but uh, but yeah, and I think it's really nice that both of those games are at home. I mean, the
Huge.
commentators. I feel like this is a stat I probably should know doing this podcast, but the commentators kind of pointed out throughout the game that I think since Lily, um, 80 like around 90% of all games at Highmark have been like non-losses. So 90% of the time we either win or draw when Lily has been here at Highmark, which is a great, stat to go in for the final two home games, where we probably in all likelihood need a lot of points. So yeah, I mean, it's everything comes down to this Miami game, and let's see.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be huge. Oh boy, yeah, it's coming down the wire. I can't believe there's only 3 games left of the season. It
Yeah.
feels like it's happening really fast, but we clinched the playoffs. We're definitely going to be, you know, in there, so that's great. I just really want this first or the second place in the playoffs, like, or in the stands, so that way we can have a home playoff game.
I'm
So
I'm I'm like so on your wavelength about this. I think before, even like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I would have been like, we'll make it work. But like, it feels like so much. That feels like the dessert that you get from being a good kid, like all day or something like that. Like that, it's like, yes, I want that. Like, come on, just I want Highmark. Yeah, home playoff game. It would mean so much.
so much.
Yeah.
Um, Pretty much all I got for that. In other soccer news, U.S. men's national team lost against Panama. I didn't watch the game. I was at Highmark Stadium watching the Hounds kill the Rowdies. So I'm not sure how it looked. It sounded bad. I don't know if you watched any of it or saw anything about it, but yeah, I don't know. It's sad.
What's like the situation for it? Like, did the U.S. men's team play everyone and still lose? Like, was it like Reyna and Pulisic and
I
like
mean,
all these?
this is still important game. Like this is the I keep on wanting to call it the Hex because it used to be called the Hex for the
Hmm.
play or for the World Cup qualifiers. It's now the octagonal, I believe. I think that's what they're calling it, the
No
octagonal. So
idea.
there's 8 teams that are competing.
Okay.
And so I mean we're not in dire straits yet, but losing against Panama again sucks, and that's all I got. I don't really know much more. Like I said, I didn't watch it. I was too depressed to look at anything about the game because I was like, okay, who cares? Don't want to look back. Too busy being happy about the Hounds
Yeah.
beating the Rowdies.
Yeah.
So
Just forget that. I mean, Panama can't be too high up in the world rankings, so yeah, that
it's,
can't be good. I mean, maybe to linger on this a second more. I mean, do you feel confident about? I don't follow the U.S. men's national team, but do you feel like they have a good group of young players? It seems like that from the outside looking in.
yeah, it's just so disorganized. It feels like everything's just kind of like half, you know, put together, and you don't know, and it's just I don't know what's going to happen. So
Right.
like, could we not qualify for the World Cup yet again? Yeah, we could, and that would suck.
It's all right if the global soccer governing bodies have their way. We'll have a major tournament like every year. So
Yeah,
it
I mean we're
won't.
gonna have the World Cup in a couple of years, so
Yeah.
not couple, and
Yeah.
I forget what year that is, but yeah, like 8 years away from now, we're gonna have the World Cup. So we'll get into that one. We have to, suckers.
And actually, I mean, that's probably a good like age range for all these young players too. Could
Yeah,
be Could be something. All right.
Yeah. Well, so I
Got
guess
me
we don't
excited.
care about U.S. men's national team until the World Cup comes to America, and
Exactly.
then I'll pay attention.
Yep.
I'm lying. If we make it in the World Cup, I'll be so happy. But anyway, that will do it for this week, I think. Unless there's anything else you want to talk about soccer
We
wise.
did 55 minutes. Look at us.
55 minutes. We're like, I don't know if we're gonna be able to, two of us talking by ourselves about this
Yep.
game. We'll see.
Yep. We're
Just shows that
pros.
we can talk forever.
Our wives love us.
All right. Help support the podcast by going to mongols.com and click on support the show to become a Patreon follower. Weekly reminder that Black Lives Matter. Check out Roughneck Scarves at roughneckscarves.com. Check out Icarus FC at icarusfc.com. And check out the Beautiful Game Network at bgn.fm. Thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you very, very soon.
Cheers.
Later.